Hello and welcome to How to Lazy Genius, your kids ministry. I know it sounds a bit strange, but go with me. So I have for many years followed an incredible podcaster and author called Kendra Adachi. And in her book, she puts forth these 13 principles as a way to organize basically any area of your life. I've used some of these and I thought the other day, how interesting would it be to actually lazy genius a kids ministry using these principles. Kendra's motto of be a genius about the things that matter and lazy about the things that don't are clearly seen in her work. To welcome you to use some of these principles as you think and plan for your kids ministry. I take no claim to any of this work. I've leaned heavily on Kendra's work. In the documents that you would have received with this resource is a link to her website. Please do go through there, support her, listen to her podcast. She's incredible. So all credits for these principles goes to her. But of course, through my experience and time in kids ministry, I have seen a way that we can leverage that for what we do. So who am I? I am Letty Hoffman. I serve as the kids pastor here at Every Nation Bryanston in Johannesburg. Served on staff in 3 of our Every Nation churches, and I've had the great opportunity of visiting and interacting with leaders from all over our region. This is my very humble offering to help us as we think and plan ahead for the new year. How are you going to use this resource? My suggestion, number 1, get a piece of paper. I know that you could listen to this in the background as you're washing the dishes or in the taxi or in the bus or on your way to work, but I really want to encourage you, sit down with a piece of paper and actually work through some of these principles. I've structured this in such a way that it would be quick to listen and easy to implement right away. So at the end of each of the principles, I will suggest either an activity for you to think through or an activity for you to do that applies that principle. Secondly, don't do this alone. Bring people in. If you are the kids director, listen to this, pull in some of your trusted volunteers and together think through how best you guys can apply this in your ministry. Let's get to work. So welcome to session 1 of How to Lazy Genius Your Kids Ministry. If that sounds a little strange to you, it might be that you missed out on our intro session. So just go back one previous video and it will catch you right up. So in this video, we are looking at principle number 1 of decide once. You probably already do this. If you go into a supermarket and you see the rows and rows of toothpastes, you are probably reaching for a familiar brand that you've been using for a very long time. Maybe there was a time you used it, liked it, and ever since then you've just made the decision to purchase it over and over again. In this session, we are looking at decisions that we make in our ministry that is a decide once, and we make the same play over and over and over again. As Every Nation, one of our decide once is our mission statement. This defines the purpose of why we exist. We exist to honor God by establishing Christ-centered, spirit-empowered, socially responsible churches and campus ministries in every nation. This mission brings us together. It brings focus and it brings clarity to our churches in over 82 nations. Every church may tweak this a little bit. In summary, we just honor God, we make disciples. At Every Nation Bryanston, we've summarized it as know God and make him known. So no matter what the words that we use, the heart behind it is that we are not just saying these things, but we are living them out and we're doing ministry in this way. Another thing that we have decided once is our vision statement. If our mission is why we exist, then our vision statement describes where we are headed. In our Joburg context here, and it will be different for where you're hearing this, Our vision statement is that we see lives, communities, and society transformed through discipleship in the Word, the presence, and the power of God. A gospel-centered mission reminds us of why we do what we do. A clear vision points us to where our ministry is headed, and we have both, the clear mission and a clear vision. But I think where it gets a little hazy in kids ministry is about a strategy. And a strategy is basically the plan that we will use to fulfill our vision and our mission. So my boss, Siviwe Noche, always tells our team that hope is not a strategy. In that he means that we cannot just throw everything at the wall unintentionally and hope that disciples are being made. You know, you are running weekend after weekend. Your kids' ministry may be around for 2 weeks or even 2 years, but are you just hoping that kids are being made into disciples? Are you just hoping that they are being transformed in the image of Jesus? So when it comes to strategy, as kids ministry, we need to become very clear. We need to make those decisions once and play that role over and over and over again. Your strategy will inform the events that you plan. It will inform how you use your time, how you raise volunteers. There's so much that a strategy in place will bring clarity on. So here's your action for this principle. I want you to clearly put down on paper what our mission is, what your vision for your church is, and what strategy that you are implementing in kids ministry to make sure that the mission and the vision come to life. Be as detailed as you possibly can, because more clarity just brings focus, so that everything else that we do is heading towards these three things. May we be aligned in our mission and our vision as kids ministries. May we not be off doing our own thing, and may our strategies be robust and clear to bring unity in your team. Let's get to work. In this session, we are looking at principle number 2, start small. So we need to value progress for its own sake, understanding that even the smallest improvements are significant. We need to embrace change through small, manageable steps. It is common to be overwhelmed by so many possibilities of the things that we can do to improve our kids' ministries that it can lead us to not doing anything because we can't achieve everything at once or to its ideal standard. So instead of focusing on grand, distant goals, consider something smaller, something more achievable. That step is what you should be doing next. For instance, if a mission trip feels too ambitious right now, why not organize a local outreach activity, such as taking your children to a nearby mall where they can share the gospel with the people that they meet? This local initiative serves as a valuable first step towards a broader strategy. Kendra Adachi says, small steps are easy steps are sustainable, and sustainable steps actually go somewhere. So your action for this principle is to take the strategy that you wrote down from principle number 1, and I want you to identify small actionable steps that can be taken to make that strategy a reality. Let's get to work. So at this point in our journey, we have decided once and we have started small. Principle number 3 is about asking the magic question. We can alleviate stress through some thoughtful planning by asking ourselves the magic question. And that is, what can I do now to make things easier later? Taking proactive steps can significantly benefit your future self. I have experienced the frustration of a chaotic Sunday and felt disheartened by how things unfolded, only to realize that a bit of planning during the week could have mitigated most of the stress and allowed me to focus on the work that the Lord was doing. So you can magic question some of the frustrations and stress in your ministry by asking yourself, what can you do now? You can magic question your volunteers by organizing their birthdays in a calendar on your phone with reminders that beep at a certain time of the day to remind you to text them or to call them to wish them a happy birthday. Just by simplifying this task, it will prevent you from missing important dates and scrambling through your database each week to find out if anybody's birthday was coming up. So your action for this principle is to look at your kids' ministry and see where some of the stress points are. And I want you to magic question, what are things that you can do now to make things a little bit easier later on? Magic question them, and I will see you next time. Let's get to work. We have arrived. Principle number 4, live in the season. So what feels like many years ago, 20-something-year-old Letty on staff at Every Nation Rosebank would arrive at church on a Sunday before 7:30. We would gather as the kids ministry team and have a prayer meeting before the kids arrived. I would then lead my kids ministry team in our first service. I would serve again and in the second service, and then head home for a quick nap and a lunch, only because I was heading back to church by 3 p.m. to join the worship team for our sound check. We would sound check for 2 hours, and then the 5 p.m. service would start. I would be in the team leading worship, and at the end of worship, I would get off of that stage, grab the 5 or 6 kids that were in that service, and head into the mother's room and run a kids ministry session for them as well. By the time I got home, I was properly tired. Fast forward to 2024, I am heading up kids ministry in Bryanston. So I am home by 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and I am probably just as tired as I was running and serving in 3 services. Why do I say this? It is not that I love the Lord any less. It is not because I am not any more passionate about kids ministry, that I am not putting in the hours that I was, that was necessitated back in my 3 service days. But now I'm in a different season. I am now a mother of 2. I have toddlers that are just the love of my lives, but it comes with a lot more responsibilities. Back in the day, I was single, I had my time to myself, and there were things that I could do at that season of my life that I cannot do now. We experience various seasons in our lives and in our ministries that are sometimes beyond our control. Embracing the current season we are in will help us to be more effective in the things that we choose to do. Without understanding the season that we're in, we risk making decisions that are completely inappropriate for ourselves and for our ministries. For instance, your broader church could be in a particularly busy season. This is not the time to fill the calendar with kids ministry trainings and upskillings. It's not because your people don't love Jesus or love kids. It's simply a busy season. And while training is important, it may probably be a little more practical to plan your training activities around a time when volunteers are not overwhelmed with multiple church events. Additionally, it is important to be mindful of comparison. Just because another church or another ministry is doing a particular initiative doesn't mean that it is sustainable or appropriate for you to do it. Consider the size of your volunteer base, your venue, your level of experience before just jumping into everything. Instead of trying to replicate a big size community-wide holiday club because church down the road is doing it, focus on a smaller and more manageable activities that allows deep ministry to happen, but also to prevent your volunteer burnout. So, your action for this principle. Put together a timeline of your church. If you are a new leader and you have not been with your church for a long time, reach out to your predecessor, reach out to your senior pastor, but jot down the journey of where the church has been, and then take some time to thank God for his faithfulness. In every season, God has been doing something special. And number 2, I want you to name what the characteristics of your current season is. What is the current season of your volunteer base? What is the current season of you as the leader who is leading that? Put those things together and help it inform how you move forward. Live in the season you're in. Do not allow yourself to fall into comparison. Be free to work in the space that God has you in right now. So, let's get to work. We have reached session number 5, looking at principle number 5, build the right routines. As you build routines, you need to remember that routines need to be flexible rather than rigid. The key is to focus on the outcome that the routine is designed to achieve. They should serve as a pathway to addressing a specific need. As the kids director, it is essential to establish routines for yourself of spiritual disciplines such as reading the word and prayer. It is also important that you create routines in your schedule to help you effectively recruit new leaders, train and empower the leaders that you do have. Additionally, effective ministry management does involve creating routines for planning your communication with your parents and your disciple strategy for your children. So, for this principle's action, I want you to think through the routines that you have in place to assist in your spiritual, your physical, and your emotional health. This is for you as the leader. Then secondly, I want you to think of what routines you need to put in place to help your ministry to run smoother. So that's what we're on today. Let's get to work. So we have reached principle number 6, set house rules. I don't know if you grew up in a house with a lot of rules or very few of them, but the rules were probably decided based on the things that your family valued. And those values spoke into the culture of your family, the things that you did without really thinking about it. Values are a very powerful tool that we have to create a culture. There's a principle that says that words create worlds. It really applies here, as values provide language that helps guide people into a united direction. Values are statements that encapsulate key aspects of our culture. At every nation, our core values emphasizes the kind of culture we want to create. At every nation, our core values of lordship is why we emphasize on obedience to the word of the Lord. Because we value evangelism, this is why we are committed to reaching out to lost people. Because we value discipleship, we foster spiritual growth in the lives of our people. Because we value leadership, we are constantly developing new leaders and empowering leaders that we already have. Because we value family, we nurture long-term relationships. As a kids director, it is crucial that you clearly define the culture we aspire to create, as this clarity will help us to build and sustain this cultures more effectively. Your action for this principle, number one, I want you to rate yourself and rate your teams against our 5 Every Nation values. How are you guys doing in terms of lordship, evangelism, discipleship, leadership, and family? Secondly, I want you to create a plan on how you will regularly be sharing these values in your kids' ministry, because what gets celebrated will get repeated. So let's get to work. Welcome back. Today we are looking at principle number 7, put everything in its place. I once had the privilege of getting a backstage look at the storeroom of a really large church here in Johannesburg. Because I was friends with one of the kids ministry staff members, she allowed me to go in there and see how they organize things. The sight of organized shelves, each stocked with every conceivable prop or piece of equipment that you would need, were all sorted in beautifully, clearly marked boxes. It was so delightful. Order can be a remarkable thing, especially when it is aligned with things that matter most to you. When everything has its designated place, both physically and metaphorically, efficiency often follows. Over the years, I have probably replaced or had to repurchase numerous items because they were lost or they got damaged. Or I've wasted a lot of time searching for an elusive document that I am sure was either on my cloud or somewhere on my computer. Could have saved myself all of that stress by making sure that everything has its place. To avoid these pitfalls, take some time to organize everything and to train yourself and your team to return things to their designated places. Your future self will thank you. So your action for this principle is to plan a day in the not too distant future to sort out your supplies. Think of ways that you can involve your team. The more people know where everything is supposed to be, most likely it is that those things will find their places back to where they should be. So let us get to work. I have had the privilege of being an Every Nation staff member since 2011. So over these years, I know the reality that ministry can feel very isolating. Today we look at principle number 8, let people in. Although ministry can feel isolating, it's because really we think that people don't understand the complexities of the things that we do. But fostering true connection requires you to open up and to allow people to meet you where you are. I know it's easier said than done, but vulnerability is a powerful tool. When you share your challenges and your experiences, you set an example for your team, demonstrating to them that isolation is not necessary. As Pastor Roger says, we are better together. And it really is true. I want to encourage you to not live isolated. I want to encourage you to engage your community by joining a Connect group and by building relationships with people who know you and can support and encourage you. Additionally, I want to invite you to connect with fellow kids directors in your region. These people are incredible. I know many of them, and they can offer valuable insights and advice on challenges that you may be facing. You don't have to do this thing alone. So your action for this principle, number 1, are you in accountable relationships with other Christians? If not, come on, let's do this. Number 2, I want you to decide to join or be more intentional about connecting with the other leaders in your cluster. If that sounds foreign to you, please reach out. We can connect you to leaders that are close by who can be true community to you. So, as always, let's get to work. So we have made it to principle number 9, batch it. These videos that you are watching are a product of this. All of these videos are being recorded in one day. They will then be taken and edited and then sent out to you. When thinking about your ministry roles, consider batching similar activities together. Recording is one, editing is one, distribution is another. For instance, instead of writing or putting together the content of Sundays on a weekly basis, I found that it was actually more effective to batch all of those together. This approach ensured that the lessons were getting sent out earlier in the week. It also simplified my shopping because I was shopping for a whole month rather than weekly, helping me to save some money and think on things that could have multiple purposes. The benefit to my team was that they received the complete series in advance, allowing them to review the upcoming content even during the weeks that they were not serving. Similarly, batching tasks like writing thank you gifts for your team on a monthly basis will help you to avoid the end of the year rush and ensure that your notes are more thoughtful. Your actions for this principle is to consider what routine activities in your ministry could you batch together for greater efficiency. Let's get to work. Welcome to principle number 10, essentialize. In a world that constantly promotes the idea that more is always better, it's easy to fall into the trap of applying this mindset to our ministry efforts. Take a step back and evaluate your weekly routine, your events, and your Sunday operations by asking yourself, what do we really need? Eliminate anything that does not contribute to your core mission and vision. Often, we stretch out our energy, our resources, and our focus too thin by trying to do too much. Streamline your efforts to focus on what really matters. Since I joined our team here, every 8 or so months, we would come together to think through and plan for our ministry efforts. And one conversation we always had at the end of that was, what is important now? Just that one question allowed us to enter into the next 6 or 8 months of execution, knowing what was the goalpost. A lot of the time, this one question can allow you to clarify the things that you are working towards. Your actions for this principle. In your ministry, consider what is most important right now. With this in mind, identify what you need to start doing, what you need to stop doing, and what you should continue doing. So let us get to work. Principle 11, let's go. Go in the right order. At times, we may get overwhelmed. But in those times, I want you to remember these 3 things. Go in the right order. 1, 2, 3. Number 1, name what matters. Number 2, calm the chaos. And then number 3, trust yourself and your team with what comes next. Let me give you an example of this principle. I had a Sunday when a leader approached me during the service and told me that she thinks that we had lost a child. She had interacted with this 3-year-old boy when he was being dropped off by his parents, but she couldn't see him in the room and she didn't remember him being fetched. So let's go in the right order. Number one, what mattered the most was the safety of this little boy. We needed to find him and get him safely back into our care. Number two, I instructed this leader not to tell anybody else and create chaos. So thankfully, the rest of her team could continue with the children that remained. I rushed to find the security guard at the gate to confirm that a child had not gotten out of the church property, which leads directly into a really busy road. Number three, I gave our ushering team and security guard a clear description that we had of the little boy, and we all started looking. Later, I found that leader who had alerted me about the little boy, before that, had actually rushed into the garden because baptisms were happening that day, and a trough full of water would have been a drowning hazard for a child of that size. I'm so glad that I have people that I can trust. So when you're overwhelmed, go in the right order. 1, 2, 3. Thankfully, somebody found this little boy happily sitting in the auditorium with his parents. The leader didn't know this, but the parent felt bad that the little boy wasn't very settled when they had dropped him off. So they circled back and came to find him, but did not alert the team. What a relief that is all that happened. So, your actions for this principle is this. Are there any areas in your ministry that seem really overwhelming right now? Go in the right order. 1, 2, 3. Let's get to work. We are incredibly blessed with empowering leaders in our family of churches. Our president, Steve Murrell, releases a video called Think Like a Leader each week on YouTube. I would highly recommend that you look them up. In his recent video focusing on the creation account in Genesis, going on Genesis 2 verse 2, while God completed his work on the seventh day, the Bible indicated that the heavens and earth were completed the day before that. So it raises the question, what work did God have to do on the seventh day if he had already finished his work on the sixth? Pastor Steve gives this insight. You are not finished until you have rested. The work was not complete until God had rested. We should avoid this worldly tendency to glorify exhaustion and to instead recognize that rest is an integral part of our work. As a kids director, it is essential that you schedule time of rest, whether that means stepping away from your ministry duties to worship with your congregation, taking a family holiday without the fear of how the weekend will run. Pastor Steve concludes his video by sharing two things: that rest is both a blessing and that rest is a holy practice. Your actions for this principle. How can you incorporate Sabbath rest into your weekly routine? Number two, how can you ensure that you are getting into the adult service from time to time? Let's get to work on resting. We've made it to principle 13, be kind to yourself. The account of Adam in Genesis shows us two things about us as humanity. Number one, that we are made in the image of God, but number two, that we are also made of dust. Being made in the image of God speaks about our potential, speaks about the dignity, speaks about our greatness, but also being made of dust talks about our limitation. He talks about what is earthly about us. We are human, and eventually we will make mistakes. It is important to remember that God is continuing to work in us, shaping us into the image of His Son. As leaders, the gospel is good news to us as well. We need Jesus just as much as the people that we minister and lead. Being kind to yourself not only helps you to extend kindness to others, but it also allows you to view your circumstances with grace and wisdom rather than judgment and shame. If you didn't handle a situation well with a kid, if you are reflecting on your leadership for this week and you look in yourself quite critically, remember to be kind to yourself. Where you fail, be kind to yourself. You are made in the image of God, but you are also made of dust. So for the last time, your action for this principle, I want you to consider the regrets or failures that you are carrying from this year. Take some time to bring these things before the Lord, asking Him, allowing Him to speak into those things and heal any areas that need it. So for the last time, let's get to work. Hey guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to go through these 13 principles with me. Having served in 3 Every Nation churches and visiting various others, I understand that strategies effective in one kid's ministry may not be suitable for another. And this series is aimed to not establish any rigid rules, but to offer an adaptable principles that can be consistently applied. Unlike strict rules, which are inflexible, principles are like ropes that can adjust to various challenges. While I may not know the specifics of your children's ministry, I present this framework as a starting point for your planning season. Some principles may seem familiar to you, while others may present challenges and require more time and effort. As the kids director, you're taking some time not just to work in your ministry, but to work on it. I pray for grace for you, that you would experience the wind of the Holy Spirit enabling and empowering you. You've got this. God is with you. God is for you. Let's go, honor God, and make disciples.